Frederick Walter Stephen Fred West is a British serial killer and rapist. He was born on September 29, 1941 in Muchmarkel, England. At school, West showed an aptitude for woodworking and art, but did not excel academically and dropped out of school in December 1956, aged 15. In 1960, aged 19, Fred was arrested for molesting a 13-year-old girl. He was found guilty but avoided prison. His mother sent him to live with her sister Violet in the English village of Muchmarkel, while the rest of the family disowned him. In September 1962, aged 21, Fred West met his former girlfriend Catherine Costello, who had by then become a prostitute and was therefore using the alias Rena. Costello, already pregnant by another man, married West on November 17 and later moved with him to Coatbridge, Lanarkshire. While living in Coatbridge, West worked as an ice cream lorry driver. On November 4, 1965, he killed a 4-year-old boy in his van. The family then moved to Lakeside Caravan Park in Bishop's Cleeve, Gloucestershire, with Isa McNeil, who looked after the couple's children, and Costello's girlfriend in McFall, in late 1965 when West decided to flee Coatbridge following the ice cream lorry tragedy. Due to West's sadistic sexual urges, Costello and McNeil moved to Scotland in 1966. McFall, who was left to look after the children, in turn became infatuated with West. In August 1967, Anne McFall, who was 8 months pregnant with West's child, disappeared. She was never reported missing. Her remains were found by police and buried in June 1994. At the age of 27, West, still married to Costello, met his future wife, Rosemary West. They met on November 29, 1968, her 15th birthday. On her 16th birthday, she moved in with him. A few months later, they moved into a 2-story house in Midland Road, Gloucester. On October 17, 1970, Rosemary gave birth to a daughter, Heather Ann. On December 4, 1970, Fred West was jailed for theft, where he remained until June 24, 1971. Rosemary West is believed to have murdered Charmaine Carroll shortly before Fred's release from prison in June 1971. According to Anne-Marie West, both sisters were frequently beaten. Charmaine infuriated Rosemary by refusing to cry no matter how badly she was beaten. Charmaine disappeared in mid-June. Rosemary explained this by claiming that her birth mother, Catherine Costello, had taken her back to Scotland. In fact, Costello arrived in late August intending to take Charmaine away and also disappeared. Fred and Rosemary married in Gloucester on January 29, 1972. On June 1 of that year, Rosemary gave birth to their second daughter, May. During this time, West supported his wife in her pursuit of prostitution. The walls of Rosemary's room, which was used for prostitution, had holes in them so that West could observe, and there was a red light outside the door, a warning to the children not to disturb her when she was busy. Like West, Rosemary also had a history of incest in the family. Rosemary's father, Bill Letts, often visited the home with Fred's approval to have sex with his daughter. In October 1972, the Wests hired 16-year-old Caroline Roberts as a nanny. They picked her up off a country road at night. She told them she had run away from her abusive stepfather. A week later, she moved to 25 Cromwell Street to look after the Wests' 3 children. Rosemary, who was seeing clients in her bedroom at the time, explained to Roberts that she worked as a masseuse, which was why men often visited her. According to Caroline, while working there, Fred told her that if she ever needed an abortion, he would perform it on her. She became suspicious when Fred bragged that many of the women he saw for abortions were so pleased that they offered him sexual favors as compensation. She rejected Fred and Rosemary's offers to join their sex circle and left them a few weeks later. On December 6, 1972, the Wests met Roberts again on the same road and apologized for what had happened. They invited her to their home to make amends with a cup of tea. Roberts believed their apology was sincere and decided that she had simply been mistaken in it. On their return to 25 Cromwell Street, shortly after the promised cup of tea, Rosemary began kissing her, then tied her up and raped her along with her husband. According to Roberts, Fred remarked that her vagina was unusual and that he should have changed that. When she screamed, Rosemary smothered her with a pillow and tied her neck. Fred threatened her that they would keep her locked in the basement, then call in some of the black men who had visited Rosemary, and after using her, they would bury her under the cobblestones of Gloucester. Fred boasted that they had murdered hundreds of young girls and the police would never find them. Quickly realizing that they would kill her if they did not, Caroline allowed the Wests to do whatever they wanted with her. The following day, once Roberts promised to return to them as a nanny, Fred allowed her to leave. At the first opportunity, Roberts reported the rape to the police, but dropped the charge when the case came to court. The Wests pleaded guilty to indecent assault and were fined £50. In early 1973, the Wests locked 8-year-old Anne-Marie in a cellar, bound and gagged her, and Fred raped her while Rosemary watched. After Anne-Marie left home at the age of 15, Fred's attentions turned to Heather and West, his and Rosemary's 16-year-old daughter, who may in fact be Bill Lett's daughter. Heather complained to friends about the terrible treatment she suffered at the hands of her parents. When she returned home, Fred and Rosemary decided to kill her. In June 1987, Fred and Rose murdered Heather Ann. Her disappearance, confusion over Rosemary and Fred's whereabouts, and threats to other children that they would end up buried in the yard like Heather if they misbehaved led to the Wests' arrest in 1994. In May 1992, West raped one of his 7 daughters. He later repeated the act at least 4 times. The girl told her friends at school. On August 4, one of her friends told his mother, who then contacted the police. On August 6, 1992, police began an investigation, and West eventually confessed to the rape, naming Rosemary as an accomplice. Rosemary was also charged with child abuse. The children were removed from the family and later placed in foster care. The rape case collapsed when 2 key witnesses refused to testify at the trial on June 7, 1993. Police continued to investigate Heather Ann's disappearance. Following testimony from social workers and children who told of a joke about Heather buried in the yard, police obtained a search warrant in February 1994, allowing them to excavate the West's garden for Heather. On February 24, 1994, they began searching the house and digging up the garden. The day after West was arrested, police discovered human bones. He confessed to killing his daughter, then retracted his statement, then reconfessed, denying that Rosemary was an accomplice. Rosemary was arrested in April 1994. She was initially charged with sexual offenses, but was later charged with murder. The other bodies were found on March 4, 1994. West confessed to 9 further murders, including that of his first wife, whose body was found on April 10, 1994. Fred and Rosemary West appeared at Gloucester Magistrates Court on June 30, 1994. He was charged with 11 murders, she with 10. Fred West was immediately brought back to court on suspicion of murdering Anne McFall, whose body was found on June 7, 1994. He was charged with her murder on the evening of July 3, 1994 and was due to appear in court the following morning. Fred West was found hanged in his cell at Winson Green Prison, Birmingham, on January 1, 1995.